Hello and thank you for joining us on CoreTV News on the hour. I am Ebolomo Adekunle. The House of Representatives has passed the long-awaited petroleum industry bill into law on the last day of the parliamentary session. The federal lawmakers also approved President Muhammadu Buhari's request for 15 special advisors and adopted 12 reports. Paya Samuel has more.
Before the passage of the petroleum industry bill, the House first considered the request of President Muhammadu Buhari to appoint 15 special advisors. But the request did not enjoy easy passage. Leo Oga argued through a point of order that the resolution in the letter is different, and if passed, it will not be the same as what the Senate passed. But the Speaker, Emeka Ihedioha, was quick to call for calm and urged the lawmakers to support the new administration in its quest to function.
Here you have a motion that is totally different from what the Senate has passed. And I think, in stating very clearly here, the House has stated the remunerations and all other issues, which is totally different from what the Senate has passed. So I foresee a scenario or a situation, because the word in the Constitution is the National Assembly, setting up a conference committee that will address the subject matter of the lacuna that exists between the Senate position and the House of Representatives position. I believe that if we pass this motion, definitely it's going to be different from what the Senate has passed. And I think as a House, it is important that we address the challenges that has raised in respect of what the Senate has passed, based on what we have.
Our President today labored hard to be President. I think this is the fourth time, and you have to give him the benefits. You have to give him the benefits of coming into a new terrain. And I think we have a duty as a people to support the government to take off. And I would appeal to all of us that we should accommodate these initial mistakes where possible to enable the government take off for the smooth governance of our country.
The members were keen to pass the PIB bill, but before that, the House dissolved into Committee of the Whole, where the bill was read for the third time. So, as the Speaker puts the PIB bill to voice votes, from one clause to the other, members responded in the affirmative.
Clause 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Honorable colleagues, those in favor of this motion that the House do accept the report of the Committee of the Whole say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The PIB is to be passed to the Senate of the 8th Assembly for concurrence. The 7th Senate has been dissolved after senators held a valedictory session earlier in the day. June 6, 2011, the 7th Assembly was inaugurated right here at this complex, and today marks the end of their tenure. Some of them believe that they have done very well, while some felt disappointed. But it's left to Nigerians to judge if the 7th Assembly has actually met their yearnings. Paya Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
The 7th Senate came to a close with a revelation from the leadership that 123 bills were passed in 4 years. These include the 46 bills passed in record time on Wednesday. Senate leader Victor Ndoma Egba, who disclosed this in a speech at the valedictory session, added that a total of 591 bills were considered between June 2011 and June 2015. The session also provided an opportunity for many outgoing senators to set agenda for the 8th Senate.
This is the climax of a session that began on June 5, 2011. It's exactly 4 years since the proclamation of the 7th Senate, so it's time for stock taking. The lot fell on Senate leader Victor Ndoma Egba to give an account of the legislative session.
A total of 591 bills were introduced, out of which 123 have been passed and others are at various stages of legislative processing and consideration. Amongst the bills passed are bills that have far-reaching impact on the policy, such as Occupational Safety and Health Bill.
He also delivered what he described as lessons from President Jonathan and PDP's loss at the 2015 election.
A second term for any chief executive is no longer taken for granted. Incumbency has its limitations. Impunity is not sustainable anywhere. Internal party democracy is the only assurance to electoral victory.
Several other senators paid tribute to the leadership of the Senate for stabilizing the policy in the last 4 years. There were also others who preferred to set the agenda for the incoming senators.
And I want to place on record, Mr. President, that the people of Benue are very proud of you, particularly now that you are supporting me for leadership position. Moreover, honestly, I speak as a Christian. I speak as someone who wouldn't want to say a lie, to tell a lie in this hallowed chamber. And when it became appropriate for me and Lawan to team up, you still continue to support that ticket. I want to thank you for that. And the Benue people are also listening and they are watching, and we want you to continue to see that this ticket says true.
One of the reasons, one of the things that will make Nigerians really fully appreciate the hard work we work here is if we take a look at this little red book. It is time to review our little red book. Mr. President, 580, 591 bills. If we were to develop a process by which, if a bill goes through third reading and goes to another house and could not complete the process of passage before the expiry of the life of the assembly, we have to evolve a system by which the next assembly carries it on as if it is an unfinished business. That way, the resources, the energy, the hard work that has been used, to produce these bills don't go to waste.
Senate President David Mark wrapped up the session with a summary of the achievements of the 7th Senate.
Let me in all modesty say that the 7th Senate achieved some measures of success in the areas of the number of bills that were passed, motions that were moved in our oversight functions, and in our legislative duties. Some landmark bills passed by this Senate include, but are not limited to, Pension Reform Act, National Health Act, Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act, and the Terrorism Prevention Act.
No fewer than 3 former Senate presidents, including Joseph Wayas, and a handful of former senators were on hand to witness the end of a session, which many say was quite eventful.
One day after the Senate passed 46 bills, the House of Representatives has reciprocated by passing 14 bills that had earlier scaled through in the upper chamber. This was after Chairman House Committee on Rules and Business, Sam Tsokwa, moved for the suspension of the standing orders of the House, which enabled the passage of 14 bills. But before the passage of the bills, Speaker Emeka Ihedioha urged the committee chairman to explain the basis for the action. He also condemned people who felt that the Senate erred by passing 46 bills in a day. President Muhammadu Buhari has written to the House of Representatives requesting the approval for the appointment of 15 special advisors to assist him carry out his constitutional duties. The letter was read at Thursday's plenary by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Emeka Ihedioha. It comes one day after the Senate approved a similar request from the President. It's the CoreTV News on the hour. We'll take a break and return with more stories. Don't go away.
Women share the most amazing thoughts on national issues, and they do it passionately.
For most men that are educated, that are exposed, will see nothing to it.
The population and the level of poverty made me cry. No infrastructural development whatsoever. And you tell me Lagos is working?
That was an accident. And it was a one-off thing. Other than that, there has never been any situation in Nigeria where a Nigerian attacked anybody just because of where they came from.
Sharing the adorable word of women in politics every week
only on CoreTV News. Many thanks for being there with us, and for more on CoreTV News, you can visit our social media platforms on Facebook, facebook.com/CoreTV News, our Twitter handle at CoreTV News NG, and on YouTube, youtube.com/CoreTV with the space then news. President Muhammadu Buhari and his Chadian counterpart, President Idris Deby, have agreed to step up military offensive against Boko Haram through greater cooperation. This was contained in a communique issued at the end of Buhari's one-day official visit to Chad, made available to journalists by his spokesman, Garba Shehu. Both leaders agreed on the need to make the multinational joint task force fully operational to effectively combat terrorism in northeast Nigeria and everywhere the insurgents operate. Buhari and Deby also wants the international community to provide the Lake Chad Basin Commission and neighboring countries with all necessary support to combat terrorism and insurgency. In addition, the leaders agreed on the need to introduce emergency development initiatives in areas where the insurgent group operates. President Buhari also held a closed-door meeting with Major General Tukur Buratai, the recently appointed military head. Nigeria's Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo yesterday visited victims of the fuel tanker accident and sympathized with the government and people of Anambra State over the tragic incident. The Vice President made the visit on behalf of President Buhari to Toronto Hospital in Onitsha, where he was received alongside Governor Obiano by the Chief Medical Director, Emeka Eze, who took time to explain how the emergency situation was handled. Osinbajo commended the timely intervention of the state government and various hospitals, especially Toronto Hospital.
The President, His Excellency, was very disturbed by it, very concerned. He felt that it was not sufficient to issue a statement of condolence, and he felt that I should come. I've been taken around and I've seen the very heroic efforts, especially of the hospital and the doctors who took this upon themselves very quickly and very ably, and of course the state's emergency operations. They're also very quick to respond.
We have banned trailers and fuel-carrying vehicles to ply only at night. That we believe will minimize any challenges we are going to have.
Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai has assured judges and judicial officials in the state of adequate support. This, according to him, is because his administration sees the judiciary as a member of a team that would deliver positive change. He gave this assurance while paying a courtesy call on the chief judge. Amina Nebi has more in this report presented from our studio.
Perhaps the most independent, the most important arm of government, because unless you settle disputes and to put criminals where they belong, no one will be able. So we have great respect for the judiciary, and I want to show you, just as our leader and President General Buhari assured in the briefing, but the extent of prison congestion. We had the unfortunate fire in Zaria prisons last week, which has further exacerbated and put pressure on the prison in Kaduna. I'm happy to note that you've already begun work on prisons decongestion. And I want to pledge the support of our Ministry of Justice and indeed my humble self in working together to ensure that our people are not unduly detained on minor offenses that can be sorted out quickly. So I look forward to giving you all the cooperation to ensure that we reduce the number of awaiting trial inmates in our prisons in Kaduna State.
Governor Ayodele Fayose of Ekiti State today held a rally across Ado-Ekiti, the state capital, to thank his supporters and celebrate the dawn of a new legislative era. The visibly happy governor rode on a motorcycle in the company of his supporters and thereafter led the rally to the Ekiti State Assembly complex to inaugurate the state's 5th assembly by proclamation. We'll bring you more of the story in a subsequent bulletin. We'll bring you more on that story in a subsequent bulletin. The immediate closure of the Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba Akoko, has heightened the already tensioned situation after the kidnap of the town's region princess, Oluwatoyin Salau. This is coming as the community says the kidnappers had not opened any form of contact to either seek for ransom or give any directive to effect the release of the regent. Rashid in Akungba Akoko filed in this report.
When Akungba is mentioned anywhere, what comes first to mind is the university situated there. But lately, the town is in the news for the kidnap of its regent, Princess Oluwatoyin Salau. The ever-busy and lively Akungba is now tense, and one could literally perceive the trouble looms as the Adekunle Ajasin University was hurriedly closed down by the management. Shops were closed and resident students have had to vacate the school premises. The look at the palace of Alale of Akungba revealed the tragedy that had befallen the town, as related by one of the high chiefs.
On Tuesday, the regent was on her way to Akure to attend the inaugural lecture, which was delivered by the VC Adekunle Ajasin, that is Professor Jimefu. So on her way now, I think those people will lay her on the road and they kidnap her with about 3 people with her.
The community stakeholders have been employing different methods towards the release of the regent, but the kidnappers have so far refused to open any contact with the community.
The kidnappers have not established any contact with us, and that is where we have problem now. We don't know the state of the woman and what the woman is going through because they have not spoken to us.
The Ondo State Commissioner of Police, Isaac Eke, had earlier confirmed the kidnapping and efforts made at rescuing the monarch.
From what we heard from these 2 victims, they confirmed that to us. That when they go there, in fact, the kidnappers were saying they have concluded the assignment, their sponsors should come and pay the balance of their bargain. We are still working on that. We just plead for time. It's an investigation. We must get to the root, and in no distant time, God's willing, we want to make sure that the regent is rescued as early as possible.
Kidnapping is fast becoming an ugly trend, and when it gets to the level of abducting those seen as intermediaries between men and the gods, then one can only pray that the worst is quickly averted. Rashid, CoreTV News, Akungba Akoko.
A federal high court in Abuja has fixed June 5 to rule on whether it has jurisdiction to continue to hear the suit seeking to stop 19 All Progressives Congress lawmakers in Ekiti House of Assembly from launching impeachment proceedings against Governor Ayodele Fayose. When the matter came up for hearing, the plaintiff counsel, Ahmed Raji, sought the leave of the court to transfer the case to the state, but defense counsel Tavas Vembe objected, arguing that the court lacks jurisdiction to entertain the suit in the first place. The presiding judge, Justice Evochukwu, adjourned till June 5 to deliver a ruling on the matter of jurisdiction. But plaintiff counsel Ahmed Raji is convinced that once the present Ekiti House of Assembly winds down the matter, will become an academic. 19 years after the assassination of the wife of late MKO Abiola, the assumed winner of the June 12, 1993 elections, family members, civil society groups, students and friends demand justice for Kudirat Abiola. Omotayalo brings you more.
To commemorate another year of Kudirat Abiola's death since June 4, 1996, the gathering at Ikeja home called on the present-day government to uphold justice and ensure that innocent Nigerians don't suffer and die in vain.
I am very upset about the judicial system, but I know that, with life there's still time. And with time, you can always make amends. So I'm hoping that with the new disposition we have now, things will move forward and, the judicial system will not be handicapped.
We ought to have recognized her here on national level. It's a shame that foreigners have to show us what to do. It's high time we do that. And the husband too should be recognized.
What lies here is not just a matter or a sacrifice, but a symbol that should be remembered always and should be emulated.
The civil organization also urged government not to rest until the Chibok girls are rescued, as the nation marks over 400 days of their capture. According to the president of Women Arise, Joe Oke Odumake, government should intensify its fight against insurgents and also bring the culprits involved in Kudirat Abiola's murder to book.
The inability to bring those who perpetrated this heinous out to book will embolden the perpetrators. 19 years after, the labor of our heroine past must and shall never be in vain.
For the leader of the Oduduwa People's Congress, Gani Adams, the new administration should see to the many challenges in Nigeria as the people have high hopes in the government.
The issue of security is very, very important. It's highly imperative. The government should make sure, give the citizen enough security so that you'll be safe in anywhere you are.
The resolve of the gathering was to uphold the values late Kudirat Abiola lived and died for, as they prayed for a better and greater Nigeria. Omotayalo, CoreTV News, Lagos.
We'll take another break and we'll return with yet more stories.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digi360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Now outside Nigeria, Libyan political factions called for the urgent formation of a national unity government in the war-torn country on Thursday, wrapping up 2 days of talks in Algeria, which UN sponsors described as positive. Their final declaration came a day after UN's Libya envoy said the country really is at the limit and risks becoming a failed state. Libya plunged into chaos after a 2011 NATO-backed uprising toppled and killed longtime dictator Muammar Gaddafi, with heavily armed former rebels carving out their own domains across the country. At the same time, 2 sets of parliaments and governments have been contending for control over the country, where the Islamic State jihadist group has recently made major inroads. The declaration expressed concern about the upsurge in terrorist acts and the IS takeover of some territories and the imminent danger it poses to the stability and security of the country. And that's it on the news for this hour. Many thanks for watching. I am Epilomo Adekunle.